Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Syndrome, and coming to you here tonight with my thoughts on this week's Monday Night Raw. So, yeah, WrestleMania is over, and so we move on to the first new Raw of the season, so to speak, which is usually speaking the best Raw we get out of the year. But like I said, this is usual, and since we had a pretty lackluster WrestleMania this Sunday, I wasn't really sure what to expect. It could be either very, very good or, not so much. Or, most likely, somewhere in between. But you know what? Let's just find out. So, oh my, we're starting off really strong here tonight. They're probably not for the reasons the WWE had in mind. Because, well, we have a new WWE champion in the ring, John Cena. And he's cracking a couple of bad jokes and just basically talking about stuff that nobody really cares about, and the crowd is having none of it. Wow. I mean, seriously, I haven't heard a crowd being, this aggressive against Cena since the one night stand match against RVD he had, a good couple of years back. That was worse, but this was just wow. Yeah, there was definitely nothing mixed about the reactions he's got tonight, and yeah, this was a little bit of a warning of things to come, to be honest. So yeah, you can look forward to that. But yeah, the promo itself, John Cena didn't really have anything interesting to say, and afterwards, Mark Henry coming out, setting up a match for later on in the evening. Wasn't very interesting either, but yeah, just the energy this crowd was giving off made it a good segment overall. So yeah, starting off strong, and let's hope we can keep it up. So alright, we got our first match of the evening here, which is Daniel Bryan versus Biggie Langston. Yes, Biggie Langston. And you know what? I can honestly say it's only been one match after his debut, but I'm already incredibly sick of the guy. He's basically got absolutely nothing to show us in the ring. And now he starts even botching up his entrance. And because, yeah, how difficult can that be, right? I mean, he's a big guy. What do big guys do for their entrance? They pretty basically just walk straight down that aisle right to the ring. No bells or whistles, just go out there. But too difficult, no? He starts waving his arms around, and all of a sudden, his fists collide with AJ's face. What the hell? I mean, okay, very funny. When you're actually watching Raw, you'll crack a laugh at that. But just seriously, I mean, if he has that much awareness in the ring, I mean, I'd be scared to step in the ring with this guy, to be honest. So yeah, poor little AJ too, getting punched in the face by her own bodyguard. Nice one. But yeah, the match itself, wasn't really much either. Biggie Langston pretty basically counted on Daniel Bryan doing all the work, which of course he did. He is Daniel Bryan after all, and he did a fine job putting on a fairly decent match until Biggie Langston hit his one big move and finished it, picked up the win. Overall, fairly useless segment and not an all too great match, but again, the crowd was very vocal, and Daniel Bryan got a good, nice pop during his entrance. So, yeah, I wasn't too disappointed with the entire segment overall, but yeah, it's still a bit of a waste of Bryan's talents, of course. But, anyways, let's move on. Alright, so next up we have Wade Barrett versus The Miz in an Intercontinental Championship match. Yeah, very interesting. I mean, the day after WrestleMania, and we immediately get a rematch that we had on the cards then. Granted, though, it was the pre-show, and like I said in my WrestleMania video, I didn't actually watch the pre-show, so this match did feel fresh for me. But I can imagine that people that actually saw the pre-show yesterday, or well, Sunday, didn't really care all that much for having a rematch the very next day. So, well, anyways, we got our new champion, The Miz, pretty basically in control for most of the match, and they put on a really good match, actually. I thought it was a fairly proper match. Not really all that bad as I was expecting it to be. And strangely enough, at the end, Wade Barrett was left standing, and we have a new, or, well, returning champion, I guess. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm perfectly cool with Wade Barrett being the champion again, but I don't see the point in having The Miz win the championship yesterday at WrestleMania to just lose it the very next day already back to the same guy he just won it from. It seems kind of pointlessly just passing the bell around, and it's just totally disrespectful to the Intercontinental Championship as a whole. But yeah, well, you've heard me say it plenty of times before. These mid card champions, you know, they're just a bit tack on. Just yeah, okay, there's these guys, and let's just have them do their thing, and usually just feed them to some other big guys and let them lose for a couple of matches, and then be surprised that no one cares when the title switches hands. Yeah, but like I said, overall, this was actually a good match. And well, to be quite honest, I'm actually pretty happy to see Barrett get the championship belt back. Because you know what, I actually kind of liked him as a champion. He was badly booked since he was never really put in any good feuds or anything. But I think he's a good champion. I like Wade Barrett as a whole. You know, just as a character, he's pretty charismatic, and in the ring he brings his own style. So yeah, can't really complain about this match or the outcome. So yeah, nice one. Let's move on. Alright, and next up we have another WrestleMania rematch in Jack Swagger going up against Alberto Del Rio. Well, technically it's not really a rematch because this match was billed as a handicap match, apparently, because it was Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter versus Alberto Del Rio. But then again, this was a handicap match only in the fact that Zeb Coulter was actually on the apron this time instead of just next to the ring, because he didn't really get involved in the match at all. So, yeah, basically speaking, it was just a pure rematch of what we saw at WrestleMania the very day before this Raw. So, yeah, not a big fan of these kind of rematches, to be honest. I mean, it's something we've just seen, and it was already not a very good match at WrestleMania, so did we really need to see it again? And, definitely for me personally, this was even worse because I saw WrestleMania and Raw actually on the very same night. Because, yeah, I actually managed to fall asleep the first time I was watching WrestleMania, so I had to watch it again the next day alongside Raw. So, yeah, having to watch this match again so very close to having already watched it wasn't really all that great. But overall, it was actually a fairly good and solid match. And the ending was pretty interesting, definitely. I mean, because as we saw, Del Rio did come out the victor, but with a severely injured ankle. And that, of course, led to, there you have it, Dolph Ziggler coming out and finally cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Fantastic. Personally, like I said, I would have preferred it that they'd done it at WrestleMania. It would have just made more sense to me, but at this point, I'm just happy enough to see the guy cash in his briefcase, so hey, I'm good with it. Never mind. And the crowd absolutely loved it as well. I mean, wow. The crowd just exploded the very second Dolph Ziggler's music hit. It was actually really something cool to watch, really. I mean, you could hear his music hit, and all of a sudden you couldn't hear his music at all because the crowd was just going ballistic as Dolph Ziggler made his way down the ramp. It was really cool. Despite being Dolph Ziggler, obviously being a heel, he's obviously got a very big following, and it was great just to hear them, cheering on their favorite superstar. And yeah, what we got then was, interestingly enough, still actually a fairly solid match between Dolph Ziggler and Del Rio. It didn't go on for very long, and obviously Del Rio was injured, but Del Rio still managed to get a little bit of offense in there, and there were a couple of false finishes still before Dolph Ziggler finally managed to pick up the win and become the new World Heavyweight Champion. And so yes, finally we have Dolph Ziggler as our champion. And I'm really looking forward to see where they take this. I mean, there is a lot of potential there for some really, really good feuds. Personally, I can just imagine some awesome feuds with, say, Jericho or Daniel Bryan. So yeah, there's a lot of potential there with Dolph Ziggler as a champion. And I hope they actually do something with it. Because, yeah, Dolph Ziggler really hasn't been booked very well in the last year, so we'll have to see whether they really pick it up right now that he's the champion. Personally, I hope that they do, but, you never know. But obviously, we had a very solid match, followed by another very solid match, and at the end had Dolph Ziggler as the new World Heavyweight Champion. So, yeah, fantastic segment, really. Was great. Alright, next up, we get to see The Undertaker make his way to the ring. And he actually grabs a microphone. Yeah, like I said last week, The Undertaker plus microphone. I'd rather not. But thankfully, The Undertaker was cut very short, and his little promo got cut off by the Shield in timely fashion. And I can only be thankful for that. Which then turned into, the Shield, as their usual routine, surrounding the ring and going for the beatdown on The Undertaker, one would assume. But luckily enough for The Undertaker, out comes Daniel Bryan and Kane to, save the day. And at that point, the Shield thinks better of it and makes a nice little retreat. Because, let's face it, you got Daniel Bryan, Kane, and The Undertaker in one ring. Probably don't want to mess with those guys. Yeah, overall, yeah, it was a proper enough segment, but didn't really do much. It does make me wonder whether or not we're actually going to get to see The Undertaker perhaps in another match this year, except for only his WrestleMania match. Because, him being involved in this kind of promo does seem to indicate that maybe they have some plans for him, maybe at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view or something. I'm not sure, but it is possible. I mean, he showed at WrestleMania that he could definitely still go for a full match. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see him maybe go in another match this year. And you know what? A match with the Brothers of Destruction plus Daniel Bryan versus The Shield. I could get excited for that if they build it up right. So yeah, overall, an interesting segment and one that was a little bit food for thought maybe. Hmm. Yeah, so next up we have 3MB going up against R-Truth, Santino Marella, and Zack Ryder. Yeah, so that much happened. And Santino Marella, R-Truth, and Zack Ryder got the win. And that's really all I got to say about it. It was horrible, and I would very much prefer to erase this memory from my mind as quickly as possible. So, moving on. Up next, we have Randy Orton versus Sheamus for the right to face the Big Show at some point or another. Hey, we got two of the WWE's top faces going at it. It's bound to be interesting, right? It wasn't. It really, really wasn't. The match was just boring. I mean, incredibly boring. Thankfully, the crowd was there to save the day because seriously, this was actually, despite this match being very, very poor, one of the best segments of the entire episode. Simply because the crowd was just, yeah, they were just going chanting random stuff and just with such intensity and just such a lot of passion behind it. It was a beautiful thing to listen to. And yeah, basically, you had these two guys doing their thing, which really interested nobody, and then you had the crowd chanting for JBL, Michael Cole, and Jerry Lawler, chanting for the referee, chanting for Randy Savage. Yeah, seriously, it's like, what the hell are these guys doing? But it was great. It really added a nice atmosphere to an otherwise extremely dull moment. And, I just gotta note this crowd was just really just so fantastic. And you can really tell that this was mostly a European crowd because, as is usually the case when the WWE tours Europe, definitely England, you can really hear the difference between the English crowds and the American crowds. I mean, they definitely got a lot more energy to them, and you know, instead of just booing the boring moments, European crowds have a tendency to just go, yeah, okay, this is boring. I don't want to watch this, so I'll just have a little bit of fun myself. And that's exactly what this crowd was doing during this match. They didn't care about the match, and they were just making their own fun, which was great. It was fantastic to watch, to be honest. So yeah, overall the match itself really sucked. Then we had the Big Show coming out at the end as well, um, knocking out both Sheamus and Randy Orton again. And yeah, again the crowd just went "Thank you, Big Show" chants. Okay, yeah, great. I mean, they realized that they were saved from this very poor match by the Big Show, and they showed their appreciation to one of the bigger heels we have right now. So, again, just this crowd, absolutely fantastic. And yeah, overall, the match, extremely poor, but the segment as a whole was just absolutely brilliant. Alright, next up we got Fandango going up against Kofi Kingston in his first match on Raw, which never really got off to a start, to be honest. Because as soon as the bell rang, we saw Jericho rushing the ring and, well, seriously laying the smackdown on Fandango. Yeah, that's pretty much all that happened during this segment. He came to the ring, started the match, and got beat up. And poor Fandango. I mean, he finally got his big first win, and the very next day, getting, stomped back into the ground. Pretty bad, pretty bad. Don't really see the point in this segment exactly. Chris Jericho getting his revenge, yeah, I got no problem with that. But they probably should have toned it down a little bit. I mean, this was a serious beatdown. I mean, Jericho was going at him, and Fandango didn't get a single didn't get a single slap or hit or whatever in. So yeah, maybe just a little bit over the top for what it was, but yeah, whatever. But it did get the crowd going again, so and they started humming Fandango's theme song and pretty much did so for the rest of the evening, which was great. I mean, it's fantastic. This was a superstar that no one really thought was going to be any good. Except for myself, I always kind of loved the guy. Just wanted to see what he really had, which we still don't really know, to be honest, because yesterday's match was kind of meh, and now on Monday night we didn't get to see anything from him either. So still kind of waiting to see a really really good match by the guy. But okay, maybe he as a wrestler isn't over yet, but just the simple fact that they were humming his theme song for the rest of the evening does kind of mean that, the WWE kind of made a gamble with Fandango, making him debut at WrestleMania, and it does seem to have kind of paid off. So, yeah, I'm happy about that, and personally, I can't wait to see where they go with this guy. Maybe we get a continuation of the feud with Jericho, or maybe he goes off to, well, probably not better things, but, other things. So, but yeah, overall, not a very great segment, but yeah, it did what it needed to do. So, yes, then we have Tons of Funk and the Funkadactyls versus Team Rhodes Colors and the Bella Twins, the match we were supposed to have at WrestleMania. But it got knocked off the card then, and, nobody really cared. And it was instead put on this card for Monday night. And again, still nobody cared, and rightfully so. What we got was a very poor match, pretty basically just a squash match. We saw Tons of Funk just kind of obliterate Rhodes Colors, and yeah, not very interesting, and also very disappointing to see, because let's face it, we get Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow. They're both pretty skilled wrestlers, and definitely Sandow also has a lot of charisma behind him. So I really wish they did something more with these guys. I mean, they don't deserve to be squashed by a team that's, basically a couple of fat dancers. I mean, whatever. So overall, very, very weak segment. Again, luckily the crowd was there just to save the day again, but yeah, not even they could save a match just this bad, seriously. Yeah. Moving on. And so we're ending the show with John Cena versus Mark Henry, as was promised at the start of the show. And which, yeah, again, wasn't a very good match. We got a count out victory by John Cena, and yeah, which meant that Mark Henry wasn't all too happy, and he was heading back into the ring, ready to beat on Cena, but out comes Ryback to the save, who, fairly easily scares Mark Henry away, and then we get to see something actually interesting. Ryback helps up Cena and then shell shocks him. And again, the crowd just absolutely explodes. I mean, wow. I mean, Ryback was picking up John Cena, and you could just hear the crowd going, boo, boo. Then a couple seconds later, he just knocks him off with that big clothesline that he does, the mean hook clothesline, and just the crowd just goes absolutely ballistic. I mean, they know what they're seeing. They're seeing Ryback, making his bid for the WWE Championship, which on its own, yeah, whatever, it's Ryback, nothing to be too excited about. But just the simple fact that he's doing this against Cena just made the crowd just go into, just explode. It was fantastic to watch, really it was. It was great to hear and just, a lot of fun to watch the crowd react to something like this. And I'm not really sure whether they wanted to turn Ryback heel with this move or not. But if they were, it didn't really succeed because seriously, Ryback got the biggest cheers of the evening, except for maybe Dolph Ziggler. I think maybe he got a little bit more. But still, if this was a heel turn for Ryback, they probably could have handled this just a little bit better. But it'll be interesting to see whether we get a full-fledged feud going from this. Ryback versus John Cena. Not sure whether I really want it, because let's face it, if we get a John Cena versus Ryback at Extreme Rules pay-per-view, we're most likely going to see a John Cena victory again, which is yet another pay-per-view loss for Ryback. And as I've said in my WrestleMania video, this guy really can't afford to get any more losses at pay-per-views. So, not really sure where I want to see them continue this feud, but they probably will, and we'll probably get to see it sometime in the future. And who knows, maybe this won't be an entire year of John Cena as champion. Maybe we'll see Ryback picking up the belt. Maybe not at Extreme Rules, but maybe afterwards. Who knows? It'll be interesting enough to see anyway. And so overall, this segment, it was decent enough. The match wasn't great, but the promo afterwards with Ryback maybe turning heel, don't know, was actually really good and properly thought out of. But they probably could have handled it a little bit better if they really wanted to turn him. But overall, again, a good enough segment. So overall, what did I think of this week's Raw? Well, I have to admit, I absolutely loved it. Seriously, I loved it to death. I thought it was a fantastic episode of Raw. What we got to see matches-wise and promo-wise wasn't all that great because we got a lot of weak matches, and promo-wise, the only thing that really interested me was Dolph Ziggler finally getting his championship, and in the end, Ryback possibly turning heel. But it was just simply, the crowd, the intensity of the crowd, just the random chants, the humming of Fandango's theme. It was just fantastic. It gave a really, really fun atmosphere to this week's Raw. And to be honest, personally, I thought it was the best Raw we've had in a very long time. And actually very much surpassed this Sunday's WrestleMania. So, I'm probably not the only guy that sees a problem there when, your house shows are actually better than your actual pay-per-views. Definitely considering, it was supposed to be the biggest pay-per-view of the year. So, but of course, obviously, about this episode itself, I really can't complain. Yeah, the matches could have been better. They could have been more interesting promos, but overall, I've had a hell of a lot of fun watching this week's Raw. So, and that's what I watch it for. I mean, I want to have fun while I'm watching this kind of stuff. So, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. But yeah, of course, the thing about this is though, a lot of this was up to the crowd. So, and like I said, this was a mostly European crowd. People that stuck around after this Sunday's WrestleMania and picked up the next day's Raw, which, let's face it, is only natural. To be honest, if I travel all the way from Belgium, where I live, to the United States to go see, WrestleMania, and yeah, you can bet I'll stick around for, just a one more day and just pick up the next Raw as well. But, you had this crowd, and that's the problem. Next week, you're gonna have a full on American crowd again, and they're probably not gonna have the same kind of atmosphere to it, which is really a shame. Personally, I'm hoping that, this kind of picks up, that the American crowds will that this maybe have rubbed off a little bit on them. One can hope. I don't expect it, but if it actually did though, that would be great because that would really elevate both Raw and SmackDown to the next level. To be honest, and we could be in for a really really interesting year if all the episodes this year are this fun to watch as what we saw tonight. Then yeah, I can't wait to be honest, and it'll be a brilliant year. Otherwise, we'll just have to wait and see. But until then, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you next time.